The following is a presentation of the MHSAA Network on demand.
We're at Skyline Stadium in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Game night coverage on the MHSAA Network tonight. The Phoenix of Ypsilanti and the Skyline Eagles from Ann Arbor. And welcome to the midfield stripe of the MHSAA Network, along with former Detroit Lion great Herman Moore. I'm Joe Jason. Well, tonight here is a one-sided affair. For Skyline, this was the inaugural home game for them at their new high school, a first-year varsity program. They're on the short end of a 36-0 score in this one, Herman. There were bright spots, though, for Skyline. They can throw the football and move it. It's just putting it all together on a drive and then getting in the end zone, really.
Yeah, when you have a young club and you have a team that's coming out and they're trying to get just their feet up under them, you know, even though they're saying they're not going to do that, you can't put it all together in one or two games of a season. It's going to take a little bit of work, so they shouldn't get frustrated. Coach Hutch, you know what, he's got a talented ball club. He has some players on his team, so he's just got to put them all together and get the guys motivated and keep them motivated to play.
Well, Coach Mallory of Ypsilanti was a linebacker at Western Michigan University, and this game actually started out with a big defensive play that got their offense going. It was a big interception early on in this ball game for the Ypsilanti Phoenix.
They came out and they were very defensive-minded, coming out early, Whitehead picking off a pass early on in the football to set the tempo defensively, and then they continued with Clark taking off, getting upfield. He was big in their running attack early on, not quite getting into the end zone, but they had the running attack plenty by Mr. Sanders.
That 1-yard touchdown run and subsequently a two-point conversion that was missed gave them a early 6-0 lead, but then it was Jordan with a 6-yard touchdown run to put them up by a score of 12-0, and you'll see every time that Jordan touched the football or Sanders, it was those two in tandem kind of adding on with the extra point.
They were the 1-2 punch, and they were the ones who were wreaking a lot of havoc offensively and putting it to the Skyline defense.
Skyline Eagles did have some bright spots in their offense. You see Kopp hooking up there with a big reception. However, their offense would stall, and defensively they came up with some big plays too. Sanders, it seemed like when he would run east and west, that was a weak spot for them.
It was. Anytime they didn't get Sanders downfield running the football, they ended up losing yards. But, you know, Skyline, to their credit, they came back, they threw the passes, they made some plays throwing the football, but they just didn't have enough of it when it counted down in the red zone.
Well, in the second half, the Ypsilanti Phoenix would take over, and it started with Sanders on a huge 60-yard kickoff return to start the second half. Fielded the ball at his own 10, took it all the way down to the Skyline 30-yard line.
Anytime you can get big plays in the special teams part of it, that's just an extra point that you have. But again, Sanders was just way too much. He's an explosive back. He's a downhill runner. And then there's Mr. Jordan. Coming back, they were the 1-2 element that really made a difference in this football game, especially running the football.
Sanders, a 9-yard touchdown run. Jordan, a 2-point conversion, and then a big 58-yard run here by Sanders to set up yet another score. This is Griffin from 10 yards out.
And that was more or less what capped it off. The running game was just way too much. Again, Skyline has to just not worry about what the opponents are doing to them right now. Focus on making plays. They put the ball up in the air, and they came away with big plays. Here's a pass from Hanson down to Woods, making the big play, and they need to capitalize more on those type of situations more than worrying about what they're not doing and what they're not getting done as a young ball club.
You see the scoring in this game. Phoenix scoring in all of the quarters. They led by a score of 22-0 at the half. They tacked on a couple of scores in the second half, and they come away with a 36-0 victory. Sanders, of course, with his 3 touchdown runs and a 2-point conversion. He was really the story in this one. Kevin Clark, as you said, a factor early in the running game. The quarterback for the Phoenix kind of opened up that running game for Sanders.
It ended up being basically a 3-man running game with those 3, with Clark, Jordan, and Sanders in the backfield. And with Skyline, it's a matter of just picking up the pieces, continue to push forward. But to Coach Malloy, great job bringing his team in prepared and ready to play this football game. They stayed focused the entire game. I love the aggressive play by his defensive secondary.
Skyline has started their inaugural varsity season at 0-2. That's to be expected for Ypsilanti. They will head into their SEC White Conference next week with a 1-1 record after a 36-0 victory over Ann Arbor Skyline. For my partner Herman Moore, I'm Joe Jason. Thanks for joining us here at Skyline Stadium in Ann Arbor for our game night coverage of high school football. Once again, your final Ypsilanti over Ann Arbor Skyline 36-0. Good night from Ann Arbor.